Hey, what's going on out there, guys? It's Donald coming to you from Pinku Style Garage, my style Japan. It's going to be episode number 24. I had a guest lined up and everything, but schedules changed last minute. And like I told you guys, I want to make sure these podcasts come to you guys more frequently. Don't got any ads or anything like that, so I'm going to get right into it. Basically, I just definitely don't want to come here and ramble for every episode, and also I don't want to talk about the same stuff that I've already reiterated on. You guys can go ahead and send questions and topics you want me to discuss. Go ahead and send it to the page, Pinku Style page, or I'll actually make an email. It won't be active as of right now as I'm talking, but I'll make it right after this. And send your questions to Pinku Style Podcast. Actually, no, that's too long. I'll say podcast at pinkustyle.com. Send all your questions or thoughts and stuff like that to that email. Again, it's going to be podcast at pinkustyle.com. It will be live by the time this video comes out. Send all your questions and things there. And from there, I'll put those into the podcast as we go. Even if I got a guest here towards the end, I'll answer your questions if you got the questions out there. But again, like I tell a lot of customers that come here and things, being that I started a business and things like that, I'm kind of cautious about what kind of advice I give out, because now, I tell a guy to do this, do that, and they do that, do something else. And again, it comes back on me. So you guys out there have seen where I don't give too much advice, and I'll tell you straight up, unless you're a paying customer and there's some work I've performed. So anyway, so stuff like that, I'll kind of answer a little bit, but technical advice, if it's not general tech advice, I'm just not going to give it out. So I'll disregard the question. But anyway, I got a few topics here that I want to discuss. I kind of pulled out of just talking to people on Facebook comments, and then also some stuff right there. So generally, everything I talk about by myself is going to be something that happened recently, because it's at the top of my mind, already thinking about it. So one of the biggest things, I was carousing today, and I was on Maximus Drift podcast discussion page. Something that's popped up. And one thing I see out there, and I think it's a new thing with the new age guys that are young, where they just kind of look forward, which is a good thing, but they don't really look backwards. And a lot of things I see, like a lot of stuff where people are knocking, like the Japanese drifting, or FD is this and D1 is that, and all that stuff like that. What it comes down to, guys, with this pro drift stuff, doesn't matter where it's at. Formula Drift Japan, Formula Drift US, D1GP, MSC, BDC, whatever is drift series. What it revolves around is all money in a nutshell. They're all in the infancy stage versus something like F1, NASCAR, all the bigger series out there that have been around for a long time and generate big money and cost millions out there to run. Drift programs are getting more expensive to run. As they're pushing the envelope up, and there's more stakes and things like that. But what guys got to understand, to my knowledge, there's not any drifter out there that's like a multi-billionaire or millionaire as a result of drifting. Maybe you've gotten some acolytes and you've gotten some things as a result of it, but nobody's making big money that I know of, or they're keeping it quiet, which is a good thing. Keep that to yourself. But I don't personally know anybody that's making millions of dollars off of drifting per se. From drifting, maybe a byproduct of their drifting is bringing them money in other avenues, but they're not making money straight off the event. So like you see, Andy Gray just won last week, a couple weeks ago, I think now, Formula Drift Japan, which I think this is his third title or something like that. And that I think the check is almost in Japan is like the Shakujuman, which is 1-to-1 ratio, is about 10K. 10K, if you've seen IndyCar, which I have seen it in person when I was at the Ibiza the other day, his transmission, I believe, is worth more than 10K. So that 10K seems like a lot, but it's just kind of refunding you a little bit of money back, and that money maybe will go to like other stuff. But 10K is not a lot of money. And I know guys out there like, oh, that's a lot of money. Dude, it's not a lot of money, man. When you're looking into just a turbo upgrade on the RB26 GTR, 10K can be exhausted quickly between labor and parts charges. So 10K, when you're really in the deep parts of motorsports, 10K doesn't do much at all. So the guys are just getting started. You got to understand that when you're getting into the drift game and you're getting, the team approaching you to be a driver. They actually, I don't know. I don't want to say the guy's name because I don't know him personally. I know there's a bunch of drama going on. I guess there's I don't even want to say the company involved, but from what I gather, and this is Formula Drift US. There's I guess, there's been like about 3 drivers or something that's been screwed by a particular company. You kind of want to play both sides. You don't know what the company did. You don't know what the drivers did. But I mean, it's coming online. That's the thing about social media. Any shitty tactics are going to be put out there. And it just seems like the company maybe was promising more than what it can deliver. The drivers were driving. But then the company just pulled chocks and it's like leave the driver hanging there, which causes the dudes to miss the round. The car doesn't belong to the driver. The car doesn't belong to the company. Whatever the issues is, the driver can't just hop in the car without crew or there's contracts saying you can't do certain things. So if the team doesn't show up, then the driver can't drive. Maybe that driver was close to getting points or had points and now those points are gone. Was in the run for a championship. Now that screws the guy for the future for another team. So where I see Formula Drift and even D1, and it's something that kind of myself personally kind of took me back. I didn't care about pro stuff at first, and then I got interested in it. I'm a competitive guy naturally, and I got into it. Then I kind of pulled back out of it as I started my shop, and now it's interest to get back into it because not a personal thing for me personally. I don't really when I come down to it for the drifting stuff, it's a piece of plastic and say you can drive with this driver and all that stuff. For me, it's just promoting my business here, Pinku Style, and getting things out there and showing people that I can build reliable cars and things like that. But just kind of getting off topic right here a little bit from what I want to talk about. You have Formula Drift US, Formula Drift Japan, D1GP, the British Drift Series. You got the Canadian Drift Series or whatever, which are like the major ones out there. But again, at the top levels, it's all about money because, that's what everybody's trying to make and generate for their business and things like that. But it comes down to, driver ability is one thing, but also the funding and the backing. And there's guys that I know that are well off that still seek backing, which means, of course, you want to save as much money as possible when you're out there competing, but it's a spending sport. So it seems like the thing now, man, is everybody's trying to get Pro 2 license. Everybody's trying to do the pro thing, and it's like guys are going broke. I went broke, trying to follow this thing here in D1GP when I was military. As I got out and I stayed in Japan, that thirst kind of wore off because I knew I wasn't leaving Japan. I now live in Japan. So, it's kind of one of those things in a bucket list. I'll eventually get D1GP license by me having a shop and being able to take off and go and compete, and I'm more comfortable and relaxed, and I got trucks now, things like that. So things lining up. It takes a little bit while, but it seems like everybody, without putting any work in, is trying to get right in the game, and they're trying to. Let me see, mic check. Yep. All right, I'm good to go. All right. So it seems like everybody is just trying to get into the game, and right away, first 2 years, they want to get this, big seat, turnkey driving, sponsorship or whatever it is. Guys out there, young guys, man, you gotta put in your time. Again, I sound like an old guy here. I'm only 36. I've been in the motorsports thing since. I started car stuff around 99, which is now puts me about 20 years. I didn't get my first drift car until about 03, 04. And I didn't really, and from that, drift car, I said 240SX with ball tires from DC for $1,000. It didn't have any rust either. Else it had a busted strut tire. But again, I didn't get into like my first drift event was ODS at Manassas with Slideways. That was my first time really drifting. Was between 2004 and 07, I was one of those drift posers. Only drifting in the parking lots late at night, doing a little J turn or whatever, running from not trying to get caught by cops. So I didn't start drifting and hitting the track until 2007, and from that point it kind of I went to Japan, and then I started doing autocross here before I left for Japan, and it just so now up to the point now where I've done so many track days where I took these last 3 years off and it sucked, not to be at some events, but I've done enough seat time and things like that where it's not like, oh man, I got to get out there. Of course I want to drift and do all that stuff, but it's business first, and now like I said, 2020, I'm kind of being a place where I can return back and the business was priority. I got to make money to do what I got to do. So anyway, Formula Drift, U.S., Japan, all those guys have different regulations. If you guys are not up to speed, I'm not gonna put links there. You're gonna go find it yourself. Part of the thing is being proactive. I don't spoon feed anybody. I'm not gonna spoon feed my audience. So you Google it. So if you say you want to build a car for a Formula Drift Pro 2, you go to formaldrift.com. I'm pretty sure that in the rule books, which they put out every year, before the start of every year. So don't build a car on 2010 rules. You got to look out for 2019 because 2010 is no longer legal. So you always got to, when you're building these cars, for everything you're building for, if you're building a car, there's rules. So, even at the start of, I think, the season when they had the Corvette, I believe it was, and the Corvette couldn't run in Long Beach because it didn't have, there was not a fire extinguisher, I believe, for the batteries or whatever. Those guys built, they put the car together. I'm pretty sure everybody was humping and busy as hell and doing all this stuff, but nobody checked the rules. So they got to the race day and you can't take the car on the track. Somebody dropped the ball there. And, that's where, a lot of times we all do as humans. You see the big picture of things you got to do. And it's just small stuff that screws people up and holds you back and everything. So somebody on that team should have thought, hey, man, we should check the rule books and check with FD and see what's up the fire extinguisher because you guys got ABCD, whatever fire extinguishers. Every fire extinguisher can't extinguish every fire. For example, a grease fire, you can't extinguish an electrical fire with that because they're just different properties. So with this car being fully electronic, if it hits something, it's electronic, but it generates heat. Anything that generates heat and has power, it can explode. It can catch on fire. So they got to be able to put those out. So whatever fire suppression system they did or did not have wasn't adequate enough and it wasn't approved. So for safety reasons, they had to shut it down. I mean, you look back just 2018 and that opening round, I think the Italian guy had Ferrari catch on fire out there. And I think, they were able to save it because I think he had the fire suppression system. And the guys out there were able to put that fire out. So I believe they fixed that car and he continued on like later rounds. But safety is a big thing in all aspects. And that's why like every year you see the cage thing changing. And that's one of my pet peeves with the whole cage deal. In the States, again, all these new guys, not knocking guys because I got guys out there like Lee Alexander. In the DMV area, which makes great cages. So I'm not knocking what Lee does, but the service Lee provides is for those who need it. Everybody does not require a welding cage. I don't know what the thing in the States is, but maybe the States is saying insurance wise, everything requires a welding. I haven't been there in like now 11 years, so I don't know. It's not my business. So that's why I don't talk a lot about Formula Drift because honestly, I don't follow it. Even though I can follow it from here, I got my thing going on here. I'm not in Formula Drift. Maybe I'll do Pro 2 at some time just to say I've done it. But it's just not, it's just like how, I'm not down in Formula Drift because you got guys like Kubo who go to, the States and they see the cars and they're saying now that the cars are way advanced. Like Americans done took it over and made it better. So you got the guys in Australia killing it. The New Zealand guys are killing it. The European guys are killing. So now Japan was like the top for a long time. So now they're getting behind because there's a mindset in Japan. That's the one reason why I got D1GP here last. D1GP is dying slowly. I'm no longer interested in investing my money and time into pursuing D1GP because once you get there, you're not doing D1GP with a 380 horsepower SR20 like they were back in the day. Those days are gone. It's all about hyper cars, sports cars, Lamborghinis, Gelatos, GTRs, all this other stuff that the common guy ain't drifting. And the S15s and the 14s and the 13s that you see out there are fully worked. I mean, like 200, 300K body kits, all this stuff. They're not your standard cars, and you're not going to do anything at that level with 480 horsepower. It's big leagues, and they're doing that for a reason to push that because they want to have a separation. You got, you had the D1 divisionals, which kind of went away after that chick died at Nico. So they suspended that. I think that was street legal. So now they got the D1 Light Series, which is kind of like, the same. This is pretty much FD Pro 2. The car regulations are a little bit relaxed, but they're up there. So, for example, I believe a D1 lights, I believe, still can have bolt-in cages. D1GP, you got to have welding cages now. So There were cars like had to, put cages in it, things like that. Or also like the side intrusion bars had to be welded in, or the main hoop had to be changed and things like that. So again, for all that stuff, I've seen guys build cars and then they didn't read something right, and then they had to go back and cut the cage out and do something, modify it. And that's a lot of something up, and then it's all nice, and you got to cut it back out and strip the paint off and do all this stuff. So it behooves you, if you're looking to do any pro round or pro-am, look at the rule books before you build anything, before you buy anything. Just like you build an engine and stuff like that, you inspect the engine first, make sure you know what you're getting into, and then you do that. So the difference between, you got Formula D Japan, and I see a lot of the comments out there, guys like, saying stuff like the cars are monster trucks and blah, blah, blah. And, the competition thing is that the thing is in Formula Drift USA, everybody knows about the power thing. So every car out there is going to have 900, 1200, whatever horsepower with the tire regulations and things like that. So everybody out there, they know they're not going to come with anything less than 800 horsepower. I don't know if there's anybody out there competing. Again, I don't follow it. I might, I'll start following next season. This season's already done. But as far as I know, there's nobody out there competing with anything less than, I think, 700 maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong out there in the comments. Formula Drift Japan, when you watched last week there at Okayama, you had Andy's car for sure. Andy car makes 1200 to 1500 horsepower for sure. That car makes it. I've seen it. I went to his shop, seen it. It's there. Then you have him lining up next to cars that make 600 horsepower. Driver skill alone, everybody out there is skillful. I can drift with the best of them. I can hold my own. But when it comes down to it, it's seat time, which costs money, and also it's the car itself. So I don't care how good, Takumi is in that Hachiroku, he ain't keeping up with Andy's 1500 horsepower. Just two different level cars. So when the guys take off, even though they got the one lane that goes straight and the one guy that goes through the chicane to try to slow it down to give the good lineup, different cars, man. And I'll have Lexus King on, which I'm calling you out here in the podcast. I'll have my guy Lexus King on here shortly once I get the IP stuff sorted out for a better thing. But anyway, this is the Formula Drift USA again. It seems like everybody gave those guys shit because it was like a drag race to a drift. So Long Beach, you got that. I don't know how long it is, but you go straight, accelerate, then you enter, and it's like you can see right there whose car is powerful. And if the guy in the front has a more powerful car, he's going to run away. Then it's going to look like it's going to make that gap even more bigger. So if you got two mismatches, if you got a guy who happens to get through the final 6 teams at by some chance because he's just skillful, and he has 680 horsepower solid. When he's next to this Mustang or whatever that's making close to 1,000 or over, it's not down to the driver. It's down to the car. And if the guy with the 1,000 horsepower car messes up and then gives that guy advantage to stay close or whatever. It's a lot of different factors in the drift thing. It's cool to see people talking about it, because if you're talking about it, that means that it's if you're talking about it in a negative light, positive light, or whatever that means, you got people who have eyes on. The Formula Drift, the Formula Drift status, and you got Japan, they got Formula Drift China, I believe they got the Formula Drift. They're starting it up, so it's going around. I hold personally, and I didn't mention, honorable mention right here is King of Asia. Used to be King of Europe. Well, King of Asia, I heard is done for the great run here in Japan, and I'll get into that in a second. King of Europe is who came over here, Mike Percar. So I drove King of Asia 2015, got my pro license, drove with Daigo, Nakamura, a host of other guys. I think Naoki Nakamura ended up winning first place. And then it was Daigo Saito in second with Wataru Saito. And who was that then? Third place. And I kicked me out in top 16. So I was able to make top 16 in my first pro event. And it's like weird, man. I've been trying all those years to do D1 divisionals. All these years, man, I had mistake after mistake. Shit just wasn't going right, and then I get a call from Tony and Arakaki. Tony's like, "Hey man, send your shit to Mike. Send the stuff to Mike. Send it on YouTube." I've already said this before in a few videos, but got new viewers here. And I sent him my stuff, man. He was like, "I'll give you a shot, man." And then after that thing, he was like, I can drive him in pretty much any event he puts on again. It's been a good while, so if I approach Mike again, I'll probably, I see that they're making the pro kind of Pro 2 King of Europe, King of Nations, and then, pro class. So I'll start, swallowing your pride, man. Even though if you got the skill, I've been out of the sport for 3 years, man. It's progressed. You got to get back into it. I haven't been competing. So, of course, I'm going to go to the lower ones to get wet again. To get that, even though I know I got it, you just want to get back in it. Okay, if you win that, bam, you go on to the next thing. So I would intentionally put myself not in the the pro class. Even though I have the license, you got to go backwards a little bit. Even you see guys like Ueo, who used to drive the crazy Hachiroku driver. When he came, he was gone for like almost, I think, close to 10 years or close to it, and he came back, went to street legal, ripped it up, and then got his GP stuff back, and then just back on the scene. So he know he can do it. It's just that you can't, if you go away for a while, it takes a little bit to get back into it and everything. So it's not a knock on your skill. It just depends on if your car is ready to go and things like that. And just getting back warmed up to it. D1GP, wrapping up this thing a little bit about because I didn't talk much on it. Again, you guys can guide the conversation by sending direct questions. I mean, there's so much more I can touch on. Formula Drift Japan, I'm definitely I'm aiming to do that because that's what my peers are doing. Everybody is talking against D1GP, and it's not the reason why I'm not doing it, but I just see the way they're going. D1GP for the longest time was doing the DVDs and everything, and now social media is done, man. Like nobody's buying DVDs anymore because why? People are live streaming now. The results are already out there. So like back in the day before social media, unless you knew somebody there or the website was kind of the old website, nobody really went there. You would watch the recaps and see the rounds and everything. But now, man, everything is instant. So they're not doing well there anymore. Just dying off. And Japanese have a way of staying. Everybody's stubborn. Some more than others. But Japanese, man, they still use fax machines to this day. I had to buy a fax machine last year because I couldn't talk to HKS. I talk to HKS, email them. They say we talk on email. They say fax, and I can that's over the top, man. I mean, even some of my customers, when I say email me, they're like, "What do you mean? I'm talking to you on Facebook?" But I'm like, Facebook ain't my goddamn office space. Mark Zuckerberg can close that shit tomorrow, and then guess what's going to happen? All those guys that running business on Facebook, they're going to be fucking pulling their hair out because they can't contact their customers. They got all their conversations there. If you get in a dispute, the guy blocks you. That conversation now is gone. You can remove comments. Facebook is not and I'll tell you guys out there every time, kind of putting a little bit to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff out there. It's only for promotion. My actual source is email, call, or come here and talk to me. So beating that up a little bit. Anyway, Japanese still use fax machines. Fax machines should have died in the mid 90s, I think. It's a slow process. They generate way too much paper. I'm pretty much a paperless as much as I can be business. Everything is electronic until I got to do taxes and receipts and things like that. But Japanese still use fax machine. They having issues with the DOS system. One of my local drivers, Masanori Kohashi, drives a Team Orange. They repping Ling Long and all that stuff now. That's the tired of using for the minute. It'll be something else next year. They had a week, they were somewhere and then the DOS system messed up and it gave points to some guy. And the next week he won the rounds or whatever. So, people are going to, voice things after they get like a little bit mad or whatever the case may be. But obviously the DOS system is getting old. You guys know I pushed the drift bit. I think there's a strong case for drift bit to get in there and take it over depending on how those guys develop the machine. But the DOS has run its course. It's pretty old. And it's not accurate. And one thing, leaving the judges, it's a judge sport. It's a judge motorsport. So you guys got to know there's going to be bias shit. There's going to be friends here. There's going to be, and I've seen it. And I've seen it firsthand where guys who are, they screw up a little bit. I mean, I put myself out, so I got to, I have to sit back and watch everybody else. And I watch guys screw up, come off the line, not be close. And then you see the judges stands and they're like scratching their head, like, oh man, we were hanging out last night, drinking drinks and stuff like that. You guys are there. If you're watching, you know who you are, but it definitely happened, man. You fucking get buddy with these guys, and which is, you don't see in Olympics, say a judo or whatever, or any match, anything that's judged. You don't see like, the judo competitors hanging out with the referees the night before, slapping hands and doing all that shit. And then the next day they call in a match. And then let's say they get to the, whatever overtimes or shit like that, and then they give the guy the call. That shit you don't see NFL guys hanging out. You shouldn't see NFL, NBA guys hanging out with the referees the night before the game in the finals. Game 7 comes down, critical moment, and the referee's that guy's buddy hanging out, slapping hands, slapping asses, and he gives the guy the call. You don't see things like that, but I've seen it, and everybody else has seen it. Is reasons why, putting out there Tsuchiya's son, they had a break in D1GP. There was a lot of things, man, and then like he's kind of hated within the scene here, believe it or not. You guys look that up. You talk to you guys. I ain't gonna spread it out there, but it's definitely a known thing. One of the reasons why when I drove in King of Asia, which was a Tsuchiya thing, I had buddies that even kind of like fucking was looking down on me because like they had, I took a picture with Tsuchiya's son, kind of as a more of a bucket list thing because, watching those DVDs, it's like I say, Gran Turismo, all that stuff was how I got into motorsports and doing what I do now, which is I do for a living. So it's not like I don't owe him anything, but it's they knew they seen the picture, they seen the Facebook and everything. And the next time I came back to my track, man, people were like giving me fucking side eyes and shit like that. I'm like, dude, look, man, I ain't, all this little drama shit. If you got an issue with that dude, you go fucking talk to him. Don't be like being all that, high school shit. Cause Japanese, I love it here, but they got high school ways about it where they won't, the normal Japanese don't like direct confrontation. They'll fucking put on that poker face, as you say. They'll act all nice and shit. As soon as you go away, they talking shit. So Japanese, is a pleasant country. People are very pleasant for the most part, but they're people, and people talk shit. And if I notice it, I'll call them out on it, even if I speak a little bit Japanese. But people like 2 years ago, I'm cool, and now because they see me driving the Tsuchiya event, and then now I got the shop, all of a sudden I'm like a threat to people, which is cool. If you're not doing your fucking thing, and I come into your country as a black, dude from, it doesn't matter, black, white, Hispanic, whatever, I'm gaijin, because again, when you come to Japan, don't matter what color you are, you ain't a Japanese, you ain't a Tanaka, like I always say. So it doesn't matter about your race and stuff like that, but I mean, it is helping, there's different, even with the gaijin hierarchy, you got the white guys, you got the, a lot of, the African dudes, which are not, I'm African American. I'm not Africa. So I'm not from Ghana and stuff like that. So there's a lot of guys down there at the, that are here. And when guys see me, they don't know, they're like, hey man, you speak good English. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm not from Ghana. So dudes, there's a lot of dudes down there in the mid part Kansai Kanto area that they're confused by that. Then you got Brazilian guys, you got Russian, Japanese, you got a good amount of people here, different races, and people act differently. There's a lot of different shit here, man. And anyway, kind of got off topic, but not really, but yeah, it's different. So anyway, I got flack for driving in the event. And I could tell people they're not good at hiding it, and I'm like, dude, is something wrong? Is because I drove in King of Asia. I'm a bad guy. I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck where I drive at. I got pro license. It was something I wanted to accomplish, and I got it. I drove. That's the thing. This is where it gets funny, man. If you look at that board, that there was 44 or 46 drivers or something like that. And again, I keep bringing up Nakamura and Daigo because everybody across the globe knows who they are. There's a bunch of other drifters there that were good, but they're not the status level of those guys. My social media and everything jumped up like for that one event. That one event, man, I just got thousands of requests and all this stuff from that one event. And I'm driving there with Daigo. I'm right in the back of Daigo Saito, warming up, and then Nakamura's right there and everybody. I kind of stayed to myself because again, I don't speak fluent Japanese. I'm not going to be the little fuckboy in the background because I don't put on a show for anybody, stuff like that. I'm a man straight up and down. I stand up. I don't fuck off for anybody. I'm not a clown. And that's why I'll get into that at another time. We'll talk about that. That's too much stuff to talk about in here. Too much because I don't talk to people a lot. I keep it all in here. But anyway, it's funny, man. I drive in that event with Daigo and them, and I got the pro license and everything, and I get my pro license. I want to do more events so I can stop talking about King of Asia, but it was a highlight of my drift career. Pro, competition career. So we're in the room with all the drivers and everything, and they call out the names and everything. I get my license. They're giving everybody their license, and I get my King of Asia thing, and it's like, pro driver, pro drift series, things like that. So I got a car, and I could drive with Daigo Saito and Nakamura's other guys, and this King of Asia with Tsuchiya's son, Keiji Tsuchiya, doing the judging. And then I can't even fucking sniff D1GP because, number one, when I was divisionals, I didn't get a single point, not one. That means if you just get in the top 16, you get a point, 1 point. I didn't get a single goddamn point, man. And then D1 Street Legal, never made it to that. I almost got my license, man, and everything was looking great. Had mechanical issues down there. Kazuma's son invited me to come down there. I drove in that. Would have got my D1 Street Legal license. That didn't work out that day. Had bad luck. And again, that next summer is when the woman was struck in the head with a tire from a Team Magician, JZX 110. And she died. And after that, they shut everything down in Nico, and they had to do the JAV stuff and everything. So that shut down, and that kind of killed the steam there. And then honestly, I started my business, and I didn't really care about it no more. But again, I can drive in the same event with Daigo Saito or Nakamura or whoever else was there, but I can't even, I go up and show up at D1GP to get the fuck out of here. You can't drive here. And all it is a piece of plastic, even the same thing. I can't walk up in America and just walk in, because there's feeder series. You got to kind of prove your metal to get those licenses and things like that, which is acceptable. They want to make sure they got good product, and that's all it is. When you guys out there doing Pro 2, when Pro 2, they want to make sure that when you get to that pro stage that you're fucking ready to go. You're locked and loaded. They you can wake up a flu and still drive. Everybody on that worst day there is still better than thousands of drifters out there because they got the money, they got the seat time. So they want to make sure their product is good. They want to make sure when they get there and those cars line up, they're going to go. Same thing like UFC. You can compare that. UFC is how it is because they got even the worst guy in UFC statistically will beat the shit out of a lot of guys in other series because they picking the cream of the crop. That means they're just not the top 10, but they're still there. And then we could talk about MMA stuff. There's so much stuff I can talk about here. We'll get into it later. So again, Pinku style is going to come for different things, not just motorsports. But anyway, there's a piece of plastic that says you can drive, man. So in a nutshell, one thing I want to wrap up on with this, because again, I could beat this up. It'd be better to have somebody else to talk to if you're about to bounce stuff off of, because I'm getting my hair starting to hurt. But when you guys out there and you're you're selling your souls and you're for 15% for some stupid little sticker on your car, and you're ruining your relationships, you're doing all this stuff out there for 15-20% or whatever they're giving you, a pair of tires or whatever, man. Rethink what you're doing, man, because in a nutshell, I mean, you can drift you not wanting to compete and doing all that stuff doesn't mean you're not a drifter. Everybody, again, it's the fad now where everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to drift. But again, you got to look at the logistics of it, look at what you're trying to do with it. And then, it seems like every 2 years, you got to get a 2 or 3 year run. And then that company will back out because they're not going to win no championships. They can't compete with the guys who got unlimited funds or wherever. And then they just back out because, again, it becomes a point where you're not making any money. Even though you're showing up at these events, your business is not making any money. So that's why, I'll get back into it because I have the ability to and the resources on my own. But I'm not killing myself. For number one, for a judge sport, my focus is going to be time attack because, again, there's politics everywhere. But at the end of the day, when you do time attack, that's you against the clock, or you do will, that's you against another car. So if somebody rams you up the track or whatever, yeah, you got problems and issues there. That's a different thing. But a judge sport is going to be judge. A judge thing is going to be biased. When you're racing time attack and stuff like that, it's just the clock and who goes across the finish line first or whatever order and stuff like that. So there's different forms of motorsports. I always will love drifting and everything. I'm not saying I'm denouncing drifting, but I'm just not putting my marbles in that basket because I see it for what it is. I have anger issues, and then my thing, man, it's like I'm not going to sit there and be passive about shit. If somebody is blatantly fucking you over, bad calls, it's something that'll kind of piss me off to the point where you kind of want to fight somebody, man. And it's like, you're not going to fight nobody over a damn judge sport. It's getting expensive, but it's still taking a while to get to that top tier. for now, I'll use that time and money to grow my company, and then I'll have the skill sets and the practice and seat time to jump into any car anywhere, and I can do it. And I mean, I can go to any track and pretty much a couple laps and I got it. That's just a testament of seat time, and everybody will get there. You just got to get a lot of seat time where you can pretty much go to any track and then do a once around, and then bam, you got it. So it's a cool feeling to be able to do that. It's a cool feeling to be able to hop in pretty much any car and get it done. So that's my thing on that. So I'm going to cross that off. Again, we could touch on that. You guys got any more questions about, the status of drifting in Japan or whatever. I've never been to Europe, so I can't speak on that. I just know the guys there, and they got good drivers coming out there. You got the Shanahan brothers, and you got all those different guys coming out of, the Irish Drift Series. And, it's a lot of stuff out there. So drifting is growing is a great thing. Why the fuck did I just draw a swastika? But, yeah, let's go to make that a check mark. But, yeah, it's a lot of stuff out there. So, one thing, for speaking on the drifting thing, I have my next bullet here is tuning. Tuning is it's one thing. It's kind of a pet peeve that I'm seeing now, where everybody thinks that they need Motec, they need the highest end ECU to do the most basic shit, which is cause explosions and combustion and all that stuff like that. Your car is doing that with the stock ECU. It's going to do that fine. So depending on your level, if you're doing a basic ass car, driving around doing some stuff like that, there's no reason to have the highest in Link, the highest in Haltech, Motec, and all these different ECUs, man. You guys out there got to get with your tuners and make sure your tuner is the one. If you're not tuning it yourself, or you have no aspirations to learn to tune yourself, you want to get with your tuner and find out what they're comfortable tuning with your car. Because the thing about it, we don't have to take on. As me being a tuner, I'm not a certified tuner, but who out there is? I mean, to be honest, let's be honest. The amount of tuners out there, that are getting professionally paid to do whatever, they put out good products and they ain't been to a damn school. So, whatever. There are certain situations where some systems want you to have an in-shop dyno, which some don't care because some know you're going to tune on the track, which again, that's my style. I'm going to get into in a little bit. The tuning aspect of the car is going to come down firstly and most importantly, it is what you want personally out of the car, what power level you want. There's a certain level of power where general ECUs, even a solid piggyback, can get that power done. Good car for street, 400 something horsepower. Piggybacks are really powerful now. They're not the same piggybacks of old, back in early 90s with the knobs and stuff like that, the Grady Rebic system, things like that. To tuning piggybacks, even the SAC got a bad knock. I was talking to a customer about that. There's levels for it. You're not going to go win a WRC title with an SAC, not at all. But you got a WX and you want to put a little bit of power, put a little bit of fuel up. The timing, the stock computers modern are very smart and more smarter than what people give them credit for. They're not archaic old Atari 1600 ECUs anymore, big capacitors and things like that. So they're pretty smart. All right, so basically, in a nutshell, when it comes out to tuning stuff, I can go on and on because tuning is very in depth. And when you get into motorsports, things like that, former motorsports tuning shops, there's so many different shops because people do their things differently. There's different approaches. There's different methods. Some people like this guy because he does this. A lot of my customers like me because when I quote, my quotes are pretty much exact. Almost always, unless something else happens in the process, and I'm pretty straight up and I don't bullshit people. But anyway, with tuning and things like that, there's a lot of different ideologies. People do this, you do that. You ask one guy, everybody's doing things generally right, but you ask one guy this, he likes to do it this way. You ask me how I want to do things, I want to do things my way. For example, people don't understand it because I don't explain it because I don't expect people who don't know how to tune to understand it. But dynos are not the end-all be-all of tuning. Dynos is a tool used to measure power. A dyno is used in a place where you don't want to be running around on the street doing high open poles and stuff like that. And a dyno is used where people don't have access to tracks. It's a good calibration tool. It's a tool. It's a good estimate of what the power is, but you could do one pull. Don't change any settings in your car. You could do one pull a day, 10 days straight, and you would get a different number every time. they're not exact. They're estimated, measured. They don't if you get into like correction and things like that, those are guys out there who are really used to dynos. When you set it up, for example, if you do a dyno, you got a hub dyno and you set it up. Say you set it up the parameters for a S13 or whatever. S13, it has the numbers in there. You gotta put the power number and stuff like that it should be making and things like that. If you leave those same parameters in there, for say even for a Honda Civic EK9, it's going to be different. So if the guy sets it up the wrong way, you're gonna get different numbers. So there's guys out there that don't know when they see the dyno sheet, it says corrected to. The corrected to number, you can make 230 horsepower, and the guy can keep doing that correction till it says 500 horsepower. Then this guy's taking the fucking sheet around town like, I make 500 horsepower. Then you get your ass busted by everybody. So the guys out there that are saying when I say I don't tune on a dyno, I don't tune on a dyno because I don't tune on a dyno because I have MSP 45 minutes that way, and I got ASP 1 hour that way, a full out track where I can hit fifth gear. I'm going to tune on a track. I got one time I had Agent K who has a dyno in shop. My FC data log, it was the box was messed up, or no, my laptop had issues. So I was doing Maze round. I couldn't connect to my my Power FC, and we were running out of time. Daylight was burning out, and I was like, "Hey, Andy, man, this is back." Andy, they were still power vehicles were still pretty big, but not as big as they are now. So they were more kind of personable. They had So I was like, "Hey, man, anybody in town that has a log that they can link up to and change some settings." So as soon as my son from who does Andy tuning from Agent K came up, so I thought I was gonna follow him to his shop for dyno. He's like, "Oh, no, we go Hagashi," which was Kita course, which is North course. So we went up North course. It was raining, and then he's like, "All right, go drive." So I'm driving. Then he's like, "Okay, drift." So I'm drifting, and he's doing the settings and calibration right there. Then after the thing, I was like, "Dyno now?" He's like, "No, track is best. Track is best because track is on a dyno. You're strapped down. Is your shit? It's just like a treadmill. It's just spinning. It's spinning. So when you're doing that, you're just pressing the gas. First, second, third gear load, fourth gear load. Put it in there. Slowly roll on it, and you build up and everything to the RPMs and all that good stuff. You get your number. You don't do that when you're racing. You put that shit in first, second, third. You go on the track. You go. You off the line. Second gear blind, third gear gone. Whatever. You don't do the dyno shit. Who? If you do anything like a dyno when you're drag racing, road race, whatever, you're gonna fucking lose. Like nobody puts it in there. Like you go. You guys are there. You race. You know what I'm talking about. And that's what I'm saying. Like take that into mind when I do my tuning. My tuning is done on a track. Even though it's the guy, most guys are not racing, is pegged out. It's a safe environment. I got loggers now, so that's why. How can you do that? You press record. If you don't know if you know tuning, you just put the laptop there, secure. You press record. You come back after the lap. You look at your AFRs. You look at your knock, your stuff like that. You make adjustments. You go back out. Keep doing that until you're done. So again, I'm not telling anybody how to tune. Tuning you need to learn on your own. I started tuning in 2006. And I've been doing it ever since. How many ever years that is, I got efficient with it. I got my style. Don't like AEM. Sorry, don't like it. I think it's a system that's good for track only, but you're trying to do like some daily driving stuff. It has shortfalls, and the results I've had with tuning it, I don't like it. So anybody who comes with me know I don't like AEM. Sorry guys. I'm in Japan. I got which utilize Power FC, HKS. I don't tune at all. I don't like that. It's old school. And you got to have license and crap like that. I got Power FC, Haltech, Link. Those are my top. Those are my top guys. Anything else I could tune it. I've tuned Chrome. I've tuned ECU, Chrome, Honda, Chrome. Chrome has Tatrix. Multiple different systems that are open source. There's not much I can't tune. There's some things I won't touch because, again, there's some things that are very specific to like training and things like that. But if it's open source, it doesn't require any crazy license. I'll tune it. But anyway, for the tuning aspect, a lot of guys just have to get over this thing of dynos, man. A dyno is, again, a tool for measuring and simulating friction. If you guys know, you ever see a dyno, their dyno just doesn't free spin. The dyno actually, it forces the car to to overcome a certain amount of friction coefficient, and it starts to make power. So if you try to turn a hub dyno by hand, it would probably snap back and rip your fucking arm off because the motor's in there, does things like that. So you got to actually, if you see a good hub dyno, the guy when he puts it in first gear is like you got an e-brake on, because you got to get past that resistance, and that resistance starts to build power, and that's how it calibrates and everything's like that. So you got the stator in there and different things that brake, and the dynos are that's why they're so expensive, because they're very advanced. Hub dynos I like a lot because you take the wheel size out of the equation. For example, you can have a GTR. If you do, like, most GTRs are in places where they have a single roller or whatever. So everybody out there know how to do it. 32, you pull a fuse, or 32, 33, whatever, you do your pump brakes, and you disable the Tesla system to only spin the rear wheels, because GTRs are rear wheel drive based with front wheel drive assistance, not full wheel drive. And you do that, and then you run it up and everything. But say if you have a GTR or whatever, a rear wheel drive car, and you have 15s on it, or you have 16s on it, or you got 15s with ATR Sports, and then you got 16s with 8008s, and you got a pair of 17s with some slicks. All those different things, the same power, same boost, same everything, same third gear engagement, are going to make different numbers, because the actual diameter of the wheel is different, and also the grip is different. So the grip, if you got a really high grip tire, it's going to grip that roller more, spin that roller more, generate more power. If you got less power and you start to make boost, it actually can spin on a roller. You can see times where the wheels are going faster than a roller can keep up. You see guys doing burnouts on a roller. Some ones are only rated up to 1,000 horsepower, different things like that. It gets very up there. And again, when I tell guys I don't tune, I have access to one dyno, which from where I'm sitting right now, I can go to one dyno that's about maybe 15 minutes from here. And I got another dyno, which is SSI Engineering, which I have access to, which I helped him get the dyno. I was the one told him about the dyno. He had the money to buy it, so he bought it. And then he said when I need to use it, I could use it. I haven't had, to this date, I've been open, I haven't had any tuning jobs that I needed that needed to get done in the winter, like in the snow times, because most guys are doing different things and building up. So fortunately for me, all my tuning jobs that requests have been done in the spring, summertime, and fall. The track's open and there's no snow there, so I can go there. And I set it up, make sure it's dry so I can push it to the max and things like that. But if you guys out there come to me in the dead of winter, there's snow everywhere. I don't want to drive the car down to like Nico to get a dry track. I have access to a dyno, so I can tune on a dyno if I need to do it. But that's just not my default style. So you just every tuner has a different style. I have a situation set up here where I have tracks close. Some guys who got tracks further away, they have no other choice, because you don't want to take other than everybody I think should do it, and I do it with my customers. If the guy is primarily a street car, you should have, after you do your main tuning, however you do it, track, high end pulls and a dyno, you should take the customer out and sit next to him and just let them drive. Just talk normal. You look at your computer and just let them drive normal, because you can't replicate what the customer does, the customer tendency, the way the customer disengages the brakes, the way the customer disengages or engages the clutch. You just let the guy drive. In the first 5 minutes, he's going to be like kind of acting because he knows you're there. And then eventually you just say, hey, man, how's the kids? Blah, blah, blah. And then the guy just start doing the normal driving, normal shifting, not holding the gear out, just driving. And because we're not doing any boost pulls right there. I've already done all that stuff. So right now I'm just doing that little, 10 by 10, that little window at the top of the thing where everybody drives at. And then you got your, for the one, some of them are inverted where the load is at the top, goes from the bottom to the top. Most of them go from the top load to the bottom, with the middle being like you're getting your work done, with the part in the far, in the fourth quadrant. Generally when you go from your first quadrant straight through the middle to the fourth quadrant. Normal ones, and inverted is a different way. So if you're in the top of the third, we'll say for a second, if you're in the second quadrant top, or you're in the third, some shit going on wrong. Normally you go straight down the middle right there, the sweet zone right there. So all that shit on the outside, it should be set to keep your parameters in. But nothing is being done there. So again, if you guys want to know about tuning, you got to get tuning books. I read a lot of books. There's different things. Tuning is pretty much bringing a crazy ass car back to normal. Sorry about that. All right, so tuning in a nutshell, sorry about that, guys. Tuning in a nutshell is pretty much making a crazy-ass build normal, meaning your AFRs are normal, meaning your knock should be normal, everything should be normal. So that's all tuning. Tuning in a nutshell, everybody wants to make it like it's unicorn or, wizardry, and I don't treat my customers like that. I'm like, look, man, this is what you're paying for, my time, things like that, taking the car to the track, doing all I got to do to get the car proper, and then, kind of finishing this off because, I can kind of beat it up again. If you guys got more specific questions, I'm doing this to get you guys thinking about what I can talk about, what I can handle, things like that. If it's in regards to motorsports or anything, stuff like that, motorsports for sure. I know what I'm doing, man. This is my own. This is not a side hustle. This is my living. This has been my living. Honestly, I've been making when I was working, I was making more money on the side than I was my regular job. So most people say your living is whatever you make the most money in. So I was already doing it before I opened the shop. My living, this is my only source of money. I don't work anywhere else. I'm not attached to the base. I haven't been on base. I can't even go on base without being signed on. So I'm one of the only gaijin shops. No, I'm the only gaijin shop in Misawa that's not attached to base or retired member or stuff like that. I don't have any access to base. So it's very bold what I'm doing. That's the reason why I don't bullshit you people. It's the reason why I can't take, I can't make, exceptions and all that stuff like that. Shit for me is go, 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 because I'm just me here. I'm a gaijin. I got to make it happen because your issues are not my issues. My issues are not yours. And it should stay that way. So anyway, I'm like one of the only guys doing that, which one of my styles like it is. But again, just send me the questions. And any specific questions in regards to tuning. Again, I will not help you build your car. I will not do that. Even if you're my customer, my customers are different. They're paying me. They're supporting my lifestyle. So of course, once they're a serious customer, I'm not gonna just. For guys that are listening, I have to be local, which I don't know if you guys are. If you are, just dropping in, you want to pick my brain, you never start the conversation with me. Hey, I want to pick your brain. Cause I'm going to say, hey, nope, I don't fucking give away my knowledge for free. It took me from 99 when I started working with cars, and I pretty much got into swaps right away. So from 99 to right now, that's all that knowledge that I gained over the years. That's 20 years, man. You were like not even born, or you were like a fucking fetus or whatever when I first started getting this stuff. And I'm not to say like I'm a badass old guy. I'm only 36, but again, there was guys that were doing it when I'm 20 years in. There's guys that I know that are 50 years in, and then like they're looking at me the same way almost, but not really because I'm running the shop. So there's a respect there, and I've seen it when I go out and about when the different shop owners, they know that they've been where I'm at right now, 3 years in the game, legit business wise, they've been there. They're 30 years. They know what it's like. They know what I'm going through right now. Everybody's gonna go through the same thing. So you gotta be able to take those bumps in the road and get there. You can't quit. If you want to do it, you gotta get there. So you gotta. Right now it's Saturday. I'm here doing stuff. Working on cars and everything today. And you gotta do what you gotta do to get there. Nobody's gonna give you anything. So it's a deep thing. It's a deep thing there. So whatever. So just kind of getting off of that because I can talk about it again, send questions if you want more specific questions. But again, I will not hand feed you. I'll give you some places to go where you can read stuff. But if you want technical advice, you got to pay for that, man. I don't, it's just how it is. People pay motivation speakers $1,000 to listen to them speak. So I'm going to treat my shit just like that. If you devalue yourself, if it's something small and something, I can, something that I know you can find on Google and I know what it is, like, hey, blah, 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 it's this, but I'll never spend more than 2 minutes giving some my advice because, again, I'm not getting paid and my time is valuable. And I'm sorry, I just got to keep it that way. So, one of the last bullets I have is, I don't know how long I've been going here, but I don't want to keep it too long because, again, I'm by myself. Too much talking. Take a break, take a drink right here. So anyway, too much talking about myself. Mouth gets dry and start to ramble and things like that. and then start to go on a tangent. But it's always, that's why I like when I have guests, because I can actually take a mental break. But right now in my mind, it's like freestyling when I'm not a rapper, but it's like you're thinking and your mind is going and your mouth is moving and the thoughts are just coming in and going out, stuff like that. Let me see. Actually, man, I had a thing right here when I was talking about formula driven. Actually, I covered the backing and things like that, like program stuff like that. So cross that out. So the last thing, tuning is one thing. I should have kind of picked this first. Your build selection kind of rolls into your tuning. But for the automotive setup and everything, build selection, your build selection is very important. When you come, it's so many times where a customer emails me with these arbitrary lists that they got off a form somewhere in 2009 that the form's not even active anymore, and they want to do this and do that and do this and do that, and then I'll entertain them, because most of the times I'll have I kind of sit around and make kind of quotes that I kind of guesstimate with a guy with SR20 wants this, this. So when a guy emails me, I already have a quote already kind of together, and I just kind of tailor it to them. Story time. For example, I had a guy, he's probably watching this, so he knows what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say his name, but he has an Aristo. So he's like, I want a single this and this. Now, I support the single turbo upgrades for the 2J, the 1J, RB26, and anything else that's twin, normal twin, inline, stuff like that. So I'm like, hey man, so like, what's your goal, man? What are you looking to do? Oh, I just want 400. I'm like, dude, well, you can do that with the stock twins with a boost up and the HKS FCD and a little bit of supporting mods. And I'm like, I want to make money. I want to make money for sure. But when a guy is saying he only wants 400 horsepower, when you upgrade to a single turbo kit, the kit by itself, the kit with proper, it's going to have a wastegate with disc spring in it, whatever. That kit's going to make more power than your lowest level that you want. So my only been a professional installing things, but your job as a shop is to kind of guide these guys, put them where you want. You'll make your money. They'll be appreciative that you're saving them 5, 6, 7K, and then they'll talk. So it's hard. It's easy to say, yeah, come to do this. And what happens, that guy goes somewhere else. He goes, to another shop, and he tells the shop, well, I only want a 400 horsepower. And this guy, he installed all this stuff. Even if you do everything properly, you tune it properly, it looks nice and dialed in and everything, it's still kind of shitty, man, not to tell that customer you don't need that. You're supposed to know that as a tuner, what it takes to get 400. A 2J, they make 380 anyway. Everybody doesn't know that. They make 380 horsepower normally without anything else. So if you do a slight boost up, a little fuel up, open it up, get the exhaust flowing, you got 430 horsepower right there with a little bit of tuning. So that's something that a professional tuner, a professional shop owner should know out there, and you should be directing your customers. If you're not doing that, you're doing a bad job. You're stealing money from people, and then you also, you're getting short money, and you're not building those cohesive relationships and letting guys know that you actually know what the hell you're talking about. Because when I was breaking that down to him, I could see by the feedback of him looking at me that he was like, man, this guy really knows his shit, man. And then like that right there, even though I didn't get that big money job, which I quoted was almost 14K for parts and labor for what he wanted. So I quoted him that. Then I'm like, look, man, bring it back. You can do this much. You can get ported turbos or whatever else, but you only want 400 horsepower. You do not need this, and this. You need a solid fuel upgrade. If you're going to do 400, you don't need a big. You can get a solid one of the new age piggybacks. You don't need, because there's not for the Aristo particular with 2J, even though it's close to the JZ880, there's not the same. So you got the math, different stuff going on. You guys know that I'm not going to get into details here with that. You can figure it out by yourself. But there's different differences between the engine. Even though it's a 2J, the 2J and the Supra, the 2J and the Aristo, the 2J and the new Aristo, the JZS 161, the JZS 147, they're different. One is a VVTi, one is non-VVTi. So non-VVTi one is closer to the actual JZ80. JZ80 is, different from the JZ70 with a 1JZ non-VVTi. So you can kind of get into it. You know all this stuff, and you throw the stuff around. You got to know what you want to do, and that's my job when you guys come to me. Like I can ask you the basics. I don't generate build lists, because again, unless you're going to come here and spend money, I'll do a basic. I want to say it'll be about this much, And then I'm like, hey, if you want to go further than that, I need the reservation fee. Reservation fee will let me know that you're serious about it and know that I'm going to get money. The reservation fee is non-refundable, but the reservation fee is inclusive. So if you do the job, that amount that you paid will be docket, taken off. So it will be taken off. But if you cancel on me, I got the money. You know what I mean? And if say the job is for $10K or whatever, the reservation fee is going to be based on how much that job is, because I got to make some money, because that was time. I was counting on you. So I can't just get to that date in October 15th and that job was for $10K labor and then you back out on me. I'm getting money. That's how it's going to happen. So guys want to BS and they want me to build shit, and they'll. So this is what I've been happening right here. Again, I'm talking specifically to the guys on base. They won't come here and talk to me because I guess I'm a mean guy, shit like that. And they'd rather talk behind my back, those out there who do it. Again, I don't know who watching this. If they do watch them, tell them it's not like that. It's just that I'm running a business, man. I got a lot of stuff to do, and I'm not going to sit around and explain myself to anybody because, number one, I don't have to. Even when I got customers here, I'm never explaining. If you're in a position where you're running a shop and you're explaining yourself to your customers a lot, you're doing shit wrong. They don't owe you a reason why they can't spend more money. You just see how much it costs and they can pay or not. At the same time, you don't owe them a reason why you can't work on that shit right now. Obviously, it's because I'm doing some other shit. Obviously, it's because I'm in Tokyo. I'm not here. I'm not fucking sitting here waiting on people to roll in here, twiddling my thumbs. I got thousands of things to fucking do with this new business still 3 years in. So when somebody comes in your lane and they want explanations or shit, like if I don't have a reservation with you and your car is not on my lift, we don't have any business, straight up and down. And then on the flip side, I mean, it doesn't really happen, but if it does, say you want to be, bit bold headed and order these parts, I'm saying I could get all the parts in, you got the wrong shit. I actually won't even start. So I don't, I've done it before, but I don't even start the job until I got all the parts on hand. So that's not really an issue anymore. I'm not waiting for anything and doing all this stuff. That's poor planning, and that's a problem that I can't allow to be. I can't let that be an issue for me. So the build selection. First thing you want to do is talk about what's your realistic goal, and also what are you planning on doing in the future a little bit and everything, because you want to do the build towards where you want to be. So, all right, say you want to make 500 horsepower, you build the engine to 500 horsepower, but you want your selection for a clutch. Like I had a guy recently, he had all this stuff, good decent part list. I could tell he got off of GTR UK or whatever, and he don't know I know that, but it's the same little cookie cutter build. But he elected to go with like an organic clutch copper mix. I'm like, dude, you're looking to make 500 horsepower or 480 horsepower. Why would you do that in the clutch? Like, that shit's not gonna hold that power, man. For a little bit, but not for a long time. So like, you need to go with this hyper single or this twin metallic clutch to hold that power. So a lot of people most guys, you're not gonna. I don't care what you say out there. You're going to get the bug. So you're going to fill that 400 horsepower. You're going to want 450. So you're always going to build, like, for things that you can't easily change out, clutch. You want to make sure your clutch is rated like at least, you want your clutch to be rated to handle at least 200 more horsepower than what you want. Because if you don't, you're going to go up and then your clutch will start slipping. You got to take all that back down. You got to pay the fee for that. GTR is not cheap. I charge a good price for clutch jobs because I'm cleaning stuff out, because I know most clutches, when they would change it have not changed. Most guys just change them out, wipe it off, put it back up. You got all the old stuff in the bell housing, and then you got all that stuff contaminating. So I talked about it before. You got to make sure things are clean and things like that. So again, man, I got to roll. It's kind of getting a little bit too long. I'm feeling like really kind of woozy right now because I'm just talking. I'm getting lightheaded and stuff like that. But I guess I got to build up my podcast stamina and stuff like that. So the builds in a nutshell, everybody builds not going to work for you. I've done identical cars which have identical builds, but one or two things will separate a build. The age of the engine, different things. Like, there's different carbon buildups, different, valve wear. It could be the same identical car, but it's going to make different power slightly because, there's differences. So you got to take that into consideration. A lot of people don't do that, and then they end up having issues. I don't make this much power then. Or, if you don't go to the same dyno. Again, Mustang dyno is not the same as a dyno jet. Dyno jet's not the same as a dyno master. Different dynos out there, different applications. Some dynos are never calibrated properly. They just turn it on and go. They never do the calibration. So you got to do a calibration run, make sure that's dialed into that car. So you can't just turn a dyno is a very complex machine. If everything is working, if everything is maintenance and oiled up, it's a very complex machine to get properly. So again, you're not all gonna make the same power out there and stuff like that. So when you're build selection, if you're not doing it yourself, like again, the guys out there who are knowledgeable, but they don't have the they'll do so much and then they'll say, well, that's above me. When you're dealing with a shop like mine, even if you put your turbos on and stuff, I'm going to check all your work, and if something's wrong, I'm not tuning it. And then what's going to happen? I'm going to have to do the work. You put some turbos on, that shit's loose. Like, hey man, you got to fix this. I fix it. You pay for it, or you come back and pick up your car. I'm not going to tune your car with a loose ass turbo, or something's wrong, or this coupler's torn, or I don't do that. Oh, it's good enough. It's not good. If it's not good, it's not good. If it's leaking, it's not good. You gotta make sure that stuff's good to go. So, you guys out there, if you once you go to a shop again, you gotta be able to relinquish control of the car, because again, you're stating at that time. I said before in a couple casts ago, once you go to a shop and you pay for anything, I don't care what it is, man. Even if you say you don't have tools or whatever the fuck it is, man. Once you go there, you're relinquishing control of that setup at that time, because again, for whatever reason, you don't have the tools. You don't have the time, whatever the reason is, you can't do it at that time. Even if you can do it later, you just can't do it at that very time. So you're relinquishing at that time control of your car to that other shop. So once that shop is there, let that guy do his job. If that guy says it should be done on Thursday and he ain't calling you, then of course, yeah, as your customer, like I said before in the last podcast, you have a responsibility to check in. But you should be getting updates. The car should be done when it says it's going to be done, the way I do it anyway. I can't speak for everybody else, but I'm pretty militant on my schedule. And everybody can tell you out there, when my shit's done either on the day of or the day before, sometimes, even 2 days prior. You gotta make sure, don't bug the tech, man. Don't bug the guy off the fucking hook, because some people get malicious and they do things or whatever. I'm not going to do that. But again, I'll tell the reason it doesn't happen to me, because I tell a guy when I first meet you, I'll give you that spiel about don't bug me. It's your car, but again, you gotta let me do my thing and let me operate, as they say out there. But there's times where some guys are not, with Instagram and all that stuff, and even I don't use social media for updates and things like that. They'll see it. I mean, as far as contacting the customer, but you should get some kind of contact now. It's not like guys can't contact. I take pictures a lot. I can't speak for nobody else. It's kind of part of the premium you pay for me. It's me taking picture documents, things like that. So, again, part of your build selection is making sure everything's good to go, and then also where you're going to get it built at. Everybody does different things. I specialize more in performance. I can fabricate, but I'm not a weld point level welder. I can weld. I know the basics. We got a really good grasp on it. I get better and better each time I pick up the torch, but I'm not doing, all right, I can do it. I do solid welds and they shit sticks together. It's not booger welds. Everything looks, decent, but if you want weld point stuff, there's guys that just do that, whatever. That's not me, not at this point. So solid welds, they stick together, got good penetration, both sides, back purge, things like that. So every shop is different. You can't come to me and I don't do alignments here, because I don't have a $10,000 rack here. I go to Tire Select, they got the rack there. So everybody does different things. So anyway, again, guys, you got any more questions out there, you want to go ahead and send those to podcast@PinkuStyle.com. And I'll get to those questions. You can drop it on the page, on the Pinku Style podcast page on Facebook, and drop your questions in the box there, and I'll get to it. And you guys can kind of stir the podcast a little bit if I don't have a guest, and I'll get to your questions and everything. So again, it's going to be Donald Jackson signing off from Pinku Style Garage in Misawa, Japan, and I'll see you guys later. Episode 24 here. Later.
It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. When times get hard, I say and pray to God, I hope I make another summer.
Let's go.
Nari mbizi neza ko umunsi umwe uzaza ukabana nanjye. Sinigeze ntekereza yuko hari umunsi wansigaye. Baby, nari mbizi neza yuko wowe nanjye tuzabana iteka. Ariko natunguwe no kubona ko umunsi wageze babe ukansiga.
Somebody say yeah, 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 yeah. Somebody say yeah, 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 yeah. Verse 2.
Muri hudun di sim, muri game di rap. Ndumusaza umwana washe, sinjye inyamafu. Kwezi kumurika, nyenyeri zenguruka. Ninjye Black Senti yavuze ujafunika. Kicukiro senta mu byapa niho nkomoka. Hamwe wumva abasani bose baturuka. Si bifu ni swingi makiki ndi king. Uyu mwaka ndi hiti nita Ibaba ndi
Somebody say yeah, 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 yeah. Somebody say yeah, 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 yeah. I'm gonna make a change. You gonna make a change. Gonna make a true life. Making my life shine.
Listen. Activate Article 7. Certain turmoil, hard brawl. I brawl on aluminum foil. Make noise with noisemakers. Trade secrets for traders. And expose foes and break codes with code breakers. Your weak words worry me none. Any immunity that's sure to be punitive to lunacy and truly. Computer unruly. This beast without the beauty. I'm dropping a jewel with a tool to make my jewelry supreme, flawless, lawless, the off the walless. I'm ready to brawl. I'm called the arsonist in August.
Somebody say yeah, 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 yeah. Somebody say yeah, 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 yeah. I'm gonna make a change. You gonna make a change. Gonna make a true life. Making my life shine.